chanting, we gave them, this is a project, Ayush project, the same ministry which is sponsoring this program. I was in the University of Madras. We did a project and we used Saraswati mantra. Om Saraswati Namaha for one group of children. For another group of children, we gave a group of English words and asked them to choose a word which they like. Some of them used the word relax, some of them used a very nice word honest, some used some other value-oriented word. And during the 10 minutes of time when we give them the meditative practice, the group which received the Saraswati mantra was reciting Om Saraswati mantra, Uchchain, that is loud, soft and manasika. The group which received the letters, no, that is a case controlled, experimental control project, they were only repeating the name of honest, repeating that. Now what was the process we measured was cognitive functioning of the children. Raven's progressive matrices, like if you people are psychologists here, you'll understand that it is a measure of problem solving ability, academic performance, and we measured their concentration and everything. Children who received Saraswati mantra fared much better on all the cognitive performance compared to this other group. Now the other group also improved from their baseline, but not to the same extent of the other. Now, apart from this, we did one more study in the Krishnamacharya Yoga mantra. These children were not given Saraswati mantra, but they were doing all the chantings that we do in our chanting session. These children's lung capacity increased so well. That is, initially when we tested, it was around 200, 250. Usually children, when they blow into this thing, we measure their lung capacity. After the yoga training of 15 days, they come for a summer camp. Again, we measure their lung capacity. And they also did certain of the cognitive tests. What we found was, those children who had a better lung capacity had a higher cognitive performance. They had better, they score on verbal fluency tests. They had better scores on speed of performance, etc. So we found that this is traditionally taught also. In Upanishad, there is a story when the teacher wants to test the memory of the student. He says, don't take food for 15 days. The student doesn't take food. So the first day, you chant, he says. This is there in that Raghunatha Narayan's book. So that students will remember the mantra, first 10 days he will recite. Last 5 days he can't chant anything at all. So, Annamayam hi saumya manaha, he says, whatever you eat, and that is the one which converts into the prana, and that prana is the one which gives you the mind and the capacity. That's what the Upanishadic story comes. Anyway, if those who are interested, you can go and read the story. Ancient time itself, people had linked the lung capacity to the cognitive function, and the modern research also shows that the better the lung capacity, the better it is for you to do the processing work and also intelligence and everything. Now why the concept is consequence of your sadhyaya? Many people feel better lung capacity, they enjoy, their concentration is better. But I am going a little higher, you understand the quality of your mind and also able to use it efficiently and effectively for your life purposes. We'll go to the next one, please. So I have introduced two basic concepts. Why we are using pratyahara or chanting, I will confine to these components. Krishnamacharya used to use the metaphor of nadi for a mind. For your chitta or mind, he used to use the concept nadi. Nadi is a river. And a river always has a tendency to flow downwards. The river flows and it flows downward. How does Agni do? Agni always goes up, water always pours down. This is the characteristic. And mind is like a river. Mind always moves outward. It moves to the things. Even in this room, I try to look at the whole lot of people. All I can do is close my eyes and I can keep and give a talk, unless I am a very great sage, which is not possible unless you are very, very contained, which is not possible. So the mind has a tendency to go outward. What he used to say is, yoga practices are such that where you build a dam, you build a dam in such a way the mind doesn't go unnecessarily in different direction, and it gets, in a dam what happens? Water gets stored in the place, no? And then you can channelize it. You can put one channel to go into this area of Telangana, another you can put it in that area of Telangana, something like that. So he used to say the same mind has got the capacity to flow in different direction. You build a bund for it so that you can decide where you want to focus it. So that is what is. So what he says, most of the practices is the step to help the mind to regulate its relation with the world and self. Mind is only for the purpose of how I interact with the outside world and how I interact within myself. Okay? Please, next one. I'm positioning the concept in relation to our life, in relation to how we use the instrument. Somebody help me to move to the next one so that I don't talk in a very discontinuous manner. Madam, next slide, please. Okay. Why do we practice pratyahara? You should have a conceptual understanding. Yoga means link. Yoga is association, very simple. Most of our association is ati yoga, like cell phone. Cell phone is ati yoga. Then what else is ati yoga? Ati means too much. Food. Entertainment. Talking. Exactly. Avram, then what is ati yoga? Ati means the sense organ is linked to the Vishaya object too much than necessary. Ati yoga. Too much necessary. Downloading. Sleep. Huh? Sleeping.
WhatsApp and Facebook is.
WhatsApp, Facebook, sir. Correct. Good. So this is Ati Yoga. Our wrong association is Mithya Yoga. What is Mithya Yoga is, I will use this word only, headphone inside and you are putting the high volume and listening. Afterwards you cannot listen the normal sound. You cannot. Because it has been so abused and you cannot use it. Let us say, I am supposed to use the specs for close reading, but I am not interested in using the specs. I will be looking like this and reading. That is mithya. That is wrong. And then no link at all. I don't use the sense organ at all. Let us say walking. You are supposed to use your, you walk upstairs, downstairs. Let us say I am talking about leg. The pada is one of the karmendriya. It has to be used to move. Vishnu Rurukramaha. That is what Upanishad mantras also says, that krama means there should be a movement in your life. And most of the time I am sedentary, I am sitting in front of the sofa all the time. And even in my job also I will be sitting and doing everything. What to do? So that is yoga, not using it at all. Senses are either used too much or too less or never used. And what happens? Most of our activities in day-to-day life is a link with all this sense organ. So one homework for all of you. Now I won't ask that because I am not a teacher here. If you are really interested, just make a list of how these sense organs of each one of you are used in your day-to-day life. Suppose you are handling a person, like you are teaching yoga to somebody and other thing. Just write ears, nose, whatever it is, how often. Nose, at least when you are doing pranayama, if you are using an adi shuddhi, somewhere it is using purposefully. Something like that. So sometimes people even don't differentiate between the smells also because there is so much of blockage. That's another problem. So most of the time you can do an examination of how you are using your sense organ unnecessarily or necessarily, how much you can contain it. I have seen women riding two-wheelers, including I used to read, but I used to keep my leg up and ride. When you keep the two legs outside and keep on riding and taking a turn and other thing, you are doing a lot of harm to your legs. Suddenly if something hits, you won't have a balance at all. So legs are supposed to be on the footrest of the scooter or two-wheeler. So I have seen, I used to give this example, how sometimes people will be using too much of their hand and moving around and everything. There is no need for using your body unnecessarily. So this is where the containment or samyama comes. Samyama is examining how much I am doing, like talking also, how much I am not doing things. That will give you a reservation of your energy. Because all sense organs are active or inactive depending upon the prana sanchara into that. The moment you contain the prana sanchara into that or regulate it, that is the pratyahara technique, you are already conserving the energy. Your sharpness of the senses also increases. Okay, we'll go to the next one, please. I need this because I want to tell you how we position our practices. I go to the last part of it. Start from there. Objects. We come to know objects. It can be event, situation, persons, objects like something here, all these things. These are called as Vishaya in Sanskrit, or Vastu, or things that happens around us. And the objects can be internal sensation also, like thirst, hunger, a sudden feel of pain, also an object. Isn't it? Kinesthetic sensation is there. Now all these objects are a source of stimulation for the senses. So senses are 5 sensory organs, 5 motor organs. I have put the link there. And these senses are connected to the mind. When the mind is connected to the senses, it is called manas in Sanskrit. Manas. There's a beautiful song in Tamil, Kan pora pokile manam pogalama. Something like that. If somebody understands Tamil, you will understand. I don't know what is in Telugu. Somebody would have translated it. As your in dance there is a yato hastaha tato drishtihi, something like that. So that type of thing is, each sense organ has an object to it and it just gets linked. It is the natural, inherent, potential, what is naturally born in everybody unless they have a defect in sense organs. Okay? So that is what it is, number one. This mind which is linked to the senses is called manas. But a very evolved mind, which is very well contained and regulated, we call it in Sanskrit as chitta. Chitta is a very refined mind. Okay? There are 3 components to the mind. The component of mind is buddhi, ahankara, manas. The 3 component of the mind is buddhi, ahankara, manas. The manas right now registered a cell phone call because my ear thing got connected to it. Suppose I don't want to say anything about ahankara. Ahankara is I listen to that sound. Okay? That part of it comes to there. I listen to the sound. The buddhi says, no, she is switching it off. No problem. I don't have to wait. I can continue to talk. The buddhi said that. So the buddhi, manas, ahankara, manas simultaneously acts. It is very difficult to differentiate. But you will be able to differentiate each function when you sit for your meditation and start delinking. It will be possible. That is another story. Now this mind is a matter according to our yoga tradition. Mind is not the one which experiences at all. Because I can see my mind also. Agree? You can disagree also. Because it's not my copyright. Because I understand that way. Somebody may understand. Mind is not an experiencer. Because when you sleep, no, your mind is not active. But still when you get up, you say, I slept well. Who is the one who watched that sleep? Who is that who watched that sleep? I slept so well. I was tossing around. Huh? Purusha. So I have a student here. Good. So Purusha is the self, the experiencer, perceiver. So the yoga philosophy practice distinguishes between 2 important entities. Number 1 entity is the consciousness, Purusha, perceiver, experiencer, which is the self, the left hand corner. I have put it in the left hand corner because it takes time for us to reach there. But we have been able to see all other things. That is the right hand corner, the right from mind onwards. So number 2 entity is that which is perceivable, observable, definable, and which can be increased, decreased, deformed. Everything is possible, changeable. So the mind onwards is the second concept. The whole concept of pratyahara is to move. So usually what is happening? The self links to the mind links to the senses, and the senses perceives the object. The object that is perceived